In our final video in the series on minor scales, we're going to take a look at the melodic minor variation of the natural minor scale. And we're going to be looking at this in the context of the relative minor of D flat major. So let's go ahead and use the shortcut to find how many flats D flat major has for the sake of time. So we know that D flat is going to be the second last flat in the key signature according to the shortcut, and we know the order of flats is battle ends and down goes Charles' father. So if we know that D flat is the second last flat, that must mean that G flat is the last flat in the key signature, and therefore our key signature for D flat major is going to have 5 flats: B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, and G flat. And if we construct the scale, D flat we will use here. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And there is our D flat major scale. And if we want to determine what the relative minor of that scale is, if we designate D flat is do, we can either count up 6 pitches, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la. So we would find in this case that B flat is La, and we would find this identically if we count down from Do to La, Do, Ti, La. Either way, we can see, regardless of whether we count up or down, that B flat is going to be La, and therefore the relative minor of D flat major is what we call B flat minor. So we take the key signature of D flat major and just rewrite it like so: B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, and G flat. But now our minor scale is going to start on B flat, and you'll notice as I construct the minor scale here that I'm writing it ascending going up and descending going down, and this is important for the variation that we're going to look at. So here is B flat minor: La, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do, ti, la. And there we are, ascending and descending versions of the same scale. Now, for the melodic minor variation that we're looking at in this video, what we need to do is we need to find the 6th and the 7th scale degrees of the melodic minor scale. So in this case, the 7th is going to be before the top note, and the 6th is going to be before that. So in this case, the 6th and 7th pitches of the scale are G flat and A flat. Now, what we do in order to create the melodic minor variation is that on the way up, on the ascending part of the scale, what we do is we increase the 6th and the 7th scale degrees by a semitone when the scale is going up. So G flat becomes G natural and A flat becomes A natural. And if we were to sing this with modified solfege syllables, it would sound something like this: La, ti, do, re, mi, fi, si, la. So the raised version of fa is pronounced fi instead, and the raised version of so is pronounced si instead. La, ti, do, re, mi, fi, si, la. But then, in the descending half of the scale, we return them to their original pitches when coming down. So because the original pitches were G flat and A flat, we would lower them back down to the natural form when we are going down. So the whole scale, ascending and descending, is going to sound something like this: La, ti, do, re, mi, fi, si, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do, ti, la. And this is probably the most infrequently used version of the scale, and from the name melodic we can infer that this form of the scale is most commonly used in the voice or the instrument that represents the melodic material in a larger composition. But once again, in summary, find the natural form of the minor scale and write it going up and going down, ascending and descending. For the ascending form of the scale, find the 6th and the 7th notes of the scale and raise them both by a semitone, and then on the descending half of the scale, lower them back down to the way that they were originally in the natural variant of the scale. This concludes our series on minor scales. Now, to put your knowledge to the test, you can tackle the practice problems below that actually intermingle a combination of natural, melodic, and harmonic minor scales and see whether you can write variants of these scales when given the key signature, and if you can determine what the key signature of each minor scale is while making modifications that change the natural form of the scale to be either harmonic or melodic according to the previous two videos.